Here's a brutal lower body workout. Started off my deadlift session with some farmer's carries. There's 370 on the trap bar total, I believe. 370, something like that. I don't really know how much this trap bar weighs. You think standard weight is around 45 pounds, but this one's thick. So I don't know. It feels more than 45 to me. The crazy thing with these is that I used to only do them down and back, but I started blacking out actually, and I've never had that happen to me on lift. So now I go down, back, and another lap. It equals out to about a minute, which is on the higher end of like time under tension for a farmer's carry. But I've stopped blacking out, so that's good. And after that, I moved on to some box front squats. I started experimenting with the chains on these. I actually really like the chains. They make it so much tougher as you're coming out of the bottom. And it's just another way to vary the training. And it's actually had good carryover to my other lifts, to my other variations of the front squat, namely like the pause front squat and without a pause. And so here I went for, I think that's 70 on one side, 70 on the other, 140, 45, 185, and plus 40 pounds of chains. And I did around 4 sets of 7 here. Just I like to go for more volume on my deadlift days. This is a deadlift day, even though I start out with farmer's carries. So if I'm doing a deadlift oriented day, it's going to be a little more volume oriented on my squats. And I always follow up with supersets after the prime mover. So after the box front squats, I go 3 sets of 10 with the pull ups, and I bring out the neck harness, which you'll see later on in the video. But with these pull ups, I'm not really doing a dead hang. I'm not trying to get a full range of motion. It's mainly just keeping active tension on the lats. Um, I also don't try to push these too much because I do pull ups every day. And looking at my form on these, it's not the prettiest thing, to be honest. I would have liked a slower eccentric. You know, I mean, I still felt the abs engaged, but I would have really liked to have these a little bit more under control. I think after you do some front squats and some pull ups, you're sort of just swinging with like the little breath you have left. But when I first started the squats, I was pretty just dead. But I actually regained a lot of my like cardiovascular capacities throughout those sets. It was kind of surprise to me. And this came out of nowhere for me. So I hit a PR with my RDLs today. 3 sets. I think this was a 3 by 12. I didn't get 12, 12, 12. I got 12, 10, 9. But that's also because I cut it off. But I was only supposed to get 8 on this, and I got 12, and I upped the weight. So this right here is, uh, 345 pounds and a 5 on each side. So I don't know. I'm terrible with numbers. What I think that's like 140, 140, 280 plus 45. So what is that, 325? Probably nothing special, but as a bodybuilder, I'm just slowly making progressions on these. I also don't go too deep on the RDLs just because I find anything deeper than like that bottom kneecap will get a lot of lower back from me and not really glutes and hamstrings. Um, Then I followed up with some heavy dumbbell rows. So this is 135 pounds. You see a lot of people just doing junk form on these. And maybe I'm not the one to criticize. You do see me get a lot of body lean, but that's not junk form. That's just, in my opinion, that's part of how you do a horizontal row. Unless it's a cable row or something like that, which is more strict. But this is pretty clean form for me. I think in the later reps, it sort of breaks down a little bit. I mean, I like to get a little bit of extra on the partials anyhow, so I probably wouldn't count those last 2 reps, but this was around a 3 by 10 for me, and and the extra swing actually out of the bottom sort of helps with just getting my back engaged as a whole. Um, yeah, so these went nicely. I haven't really been progressing on these. It's sort of tough after all the work that you've done to do that. And then I come in here with some power shrugs just to finish off the traps. The traps got so much work today. Farmer's carries, front squats, even a little bit on the rows, the RDLs, of course. So at this point, to put 405 on there, is that 405? Let's see here. 180, 180, 180. Yeah, I suck at math. I think it's something like 405. I don't know. Um, yeah, and do that for sets of 15. That's pretty brutal. And this actually complements it well. So I'm always doing some neck work on a lower body day, and especially like if you're also hitting traps, it just makes more sense. Because the neck is also just an extension of your trapezius muscle, and so I do feel my upper traps engaged a lot on this one. I started off the reps a little, botchy, but then I eventually got a full range of motion. Um, some exercises just like that. It's like you don't really get your groove into later on into the set. Looking back at the Romanian deadlifts too, I felt like on the earlier reps it wasn't as clean as later on. I don't know why that is, but like I was doing these like extended lockouts with the Romanian deadlifts where I was like really pushing my hips in and contracting my glutes. You shouldn't really be doing that. You should have a little bit of knee bend even at the top. It's not a deadlift. There's no reason to lock it out. And it just helps you get that hip hinge pattern intact. So these, I'm pretty much stagnant on those. I've been doing like 3 sets of 20 with the same weight for a long time, which is okay. I mean, I I've seen good neck gains. I don't know how much more I need to push it. So this was 5 sets of 9 to 10, something around there with 4 plates on the calf raise. I've messed around with different things on these, going faster, going slower, pausing at the bottom. I don't like pausing at the bottom because the set can take so long. I'll do that on squat for a calf raise. I don't know. But for me, I think the best thing is just going slow, taking it slow. And to be honest, like, even though calves aren't really an impressive muscle for me, I've seen some gains over the last weeks just by taking the reps slower. I think slow and controlled reps is really money for bodybuilding in general. Um, and then I finished off the workout. This was in a superset, so I went dumbbell rows, power shrugs, and then these GHD sit ups. It's just a 25-pound kettlebell in the back of my head. I really try to just go for broke at this point. Um, the thing about this is that, like it can become sort of a hassle to like hold like a heavy ass dumbbell. Like I remember at one point I was holding like an 80-pound dumbbell on my chest and doing these, and I could have kept making progressions, but it almost feels like it becomes less of an ab exercise and more of a, just how the hell do I keep this dumbbell on my on my chest? But this went well. I like the lighter weights on these just because you can feel a contraction a little bit better, and it's not a deadlift or a squat, so it's not something that you really have to hammer. But over time, you do need to progressively overload these like anything else. Like there has to be some form of progression, just to keep those abs intact. And really, I mean, this is a full body workout. I mean, it is a deadlift workout, but it went well. Yeah, happy Thanksgiving to anybody watching this, and I hope you got some work in today.